This is a production of Cornell University.
To start, we'll just sort of walk through some of the basics behind the Vegetable Variety Trial Garden Project, a little bit of the background and where you can find more information. Find the page for the Vegetable Variety Trial Garden Project. You'll go to Citizen Science and scroll down a little bit, and then here it is. So if you click here, this will bring you to the page that has all of the information for VVTG. So this project is sort of a demonstration garden. We've done it in the past, I think for maybe 4 years, I think 2011 to 2014 or so. But it's sort of been on hold, so we're really happy to relaunch the project for 2017. Every year has a different theme. I think in the past there's been some companion garden theme or ecological garden themes or pollinator-friendly themes. But this year's theme, we're just doing big yields in small places. So here you can find the design draft. So this year there are several plantings. We have a spring planting that will go in March to April, and here are the 9 beds. So each bed is 3 feet by 3 feet. And then we'll have a summer planting, goes in around May. Some of the beds stay the same throughout the season, and then some of them change. And then we'll also have a fall planting, but not all of the beds will be planted in the fall. But if you'd like to plant all of them, that is totally cool, and you can do that. But here are just some suggestions. So we have some garlic and some cover crops. So also on the website, you'll find a timeline. So this will sort of guide you through month by month, everything that should be done. So here we are in December. Today is opening day for registration, and registration closes on February 1st. In March, we'll be mailing out seeds for that spring planting. So you will receive the seeds by mail, and then you can directly sow them early in the spring. We'll also have another webinar in mid-March to sort of get everyone on the same page, touch base, answer any questions, and go forward to the planting season. And then May's a big month, so we'll have a plant pickup day at Cornell on May 4th. So these are the transplants that will be started by an organic gardening class here on campus, and then you can pick up the transplants. They'll be the tomatoes, more of the tender crops on May 4th, and we'll also have some educational opportunities on campus as well. We're going to connect with the Cornell Botanical Gardens and tour one of their vegetable gardens there, and also tour the Dillman Hill Student Farm here on campus. So it will be a day to pick up your plants, but also to connect with other educators and tour some relevant gardens. Then in July, we'll have another webinar, just another opportunity to touch base. As you are planting and maintaining and also harvesting, part of this project really focuses on the Vegetable Varieties for Gardeners database, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But this will be, the webinar in July will be a time to sort of go over the database. How do you use it? Any questions will be answered at that point. So I guess I'll just use that as a springboard to show you the database. So this is the Vegetable Varieties for Gardeners database, and it's a really excellent resource. I think it's used nationally. Mm-hmm. Is it used internationally at all?
It is.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. So say you garden in Ithaca, New York, where we are today, and you're really curious about what tomatoes do well in your area. Well, you can go onto this database and see what varieties have done well for others in a similar climate. You just create an account. It doesn't cost anything. You don't get any spam emails or anything. It's really simple. And you'll be able to read a little bit about the variety, about the plant type and, how fruitful it is. And you can maybe discover if it would be a good fit for what you're looking for. But this gives you an idea of what this database is all about. So you can see, people are coming from all over the country. It's pretty neat. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about responsibilities. So if you do want to participate in this project, I'll tell you first everything that we do on our end, and then tell you everything that you would do on your end. So we provide seeds and plants for the spring and summer plantings. We provide you the design plan, which is right up here. We provide you with signage. So each of these beds would get their own sign for visitors to read and learn a little bit about what's growing there. We provide you that timeline and checklist, which I showed you. And then we also provide you a template for your local plan of work, including evaluation templates. And Lori's going to talk a little bit about that towards the end of the webinar. And then we provide support and guidance throughout the growing season. So if you have any questions or concerns, we're happy to help you out. We do have 2 other webinars scheduled, so those will be great times to touch base as well. And then sort of your end of the responsibilities. So you plant, maintain, and harvest the vegetable variety trial gardens. You'll enter data into that database that I just showed you. You will share progress and photos throughout the season. We'd love to see how things are doing and just hear about the different varieties. Maybe some are doing better than others. Maybe some counties are having different experiences. We just love to hear about it. And then you'll also complete an evaluation at the end of the season. So this helps us know maybe what went well and what we could do differently for next year.
So here you'll see there's the design, and then the timeline and the registration form. So what kind of data do you need to collect? Well, Fiona said it would be great for us to get just general updates. That would be just anecdotal data. But what data we really want, what's one of the varieties?
That we have planned.
Yeah.
Black-seeded Simpson lettuce.
Okay, so put in the finder, Simpson. I think that will work. And then do search. And then is black-seeded Simpson lettuce, all right? So if you choose to grow black-seeded Simpson lettuce, what we want or encourage you to do is to register your garden as on this site. So you might choose a name. If you're not registered as an individual, I would register you as a county organization. So you would go under login. Sorry, I should have did login first. I forgot. You might not be registered. So you might go under login and you say not registered with our site. You would add a garden profile. I would call that garden. Use some name that recognizes your Cornell Cooperative Extension site as the name. And it's an individual might do it differently if they're doing it at home. And then you fill this out. So you do need to register if you're not registered. And then you would go back to that once you're registered, you can add a review. I'm logged in now. And so once you're registered, get this login successful, this is what we're expecting you, each demo site to share. So just a general review. That would just be verbally what you thought of, what happened. And then you provide overall rating, and maybe you can, if you want to run the mouse over that drop-down menu, and you basically give it 1 to 5 stars on overall rating, taste, yield, ease, reliability, and that's just, how easy was it? And yield and taste is obvious, and that's kind of personal, so you might have to take a consensus. And then if you want to upload a picture, you can upload a picture. I think that works. This is like interface that we developed a long time ago, and it functions usually. but and we think the upload picture still works, but let us know if it doesn't. And then you just save it, and I won't save mine because I didn't write anything. So that's what we're expecting for that. And now, can you participate in only part of the programming?
Yes, you can. So if you feel that the spring planting is something that you're super interested in, but maybe you don't have the capacity or the volunteers to do it throughout the summer and the fall, that's totally fine. You can also substitute plants. Say, oh man, I really don't like microgreens. Our volunteers don't like microgreens. We don't know how we would use these. So you could do a different planting in that bed. You would have to just adjust the signage template. Yeah, so if you do the partial season planting, you would have to provide your own seeds and transplants. So if you do the full one, you get the seeds and the transplants, but if you just do partial planting, you have to provide them. Is that clear?
So what we're doing is incentivizing people who do the whole thing, get the plants and seeds. If we have extras, we will share those with people who are doing partials. And we still, even if you're doing partials, please register. Because we might be able to accommodate that, but we're giving priority to people who are doing the full thing with our budget. And if we don't have the budget all spent on those people who are doing the full thing, we might be able to accommodate partial beds in place, but they're not the same size. You can still, that's okay. So we just give this design based on this 3x3 bed. If you have bigger beds, you would have to think through your own adjustment of how many plants. So you can still do it, but you'll have to think through those adjustments, or consult with us, and we can certainly help with that. And
Laura, can I interject just really quick?
Yeah.
So if you are starting from scratch and you don't already have the garden beds established, we have a document that will help you sort of walk through the process. So this is on the website, recommended site prep. So it walks you through the soil, the layout, building the beds, what materials are best, fencing, signage, and there's even a video on our website that you can watch. It's just 3 minutes, and it shows how one of these garden sites was established before.
And then another question was, will this only be for 2017? No, we have been trying to do this, I think since what was that year, 2012? Yeah, we've been trying to do this vegetable varieties trial project for the last 5 years. So we're very thankful that Fiona is taking the lead and has developed all this support network for it. So that's why we're launching it full on this year, and our plan is to do it every year. So come up with a different design in future years, or maybe because they're all annuals, we can modify the design based on how it goes for you and the feedback you provide. Maybe you would even throw out suggestions on what you'd like to see as part of the planting in 2018. So the hope is that this is ongoing into the future. All right, let me just show you one more thing, because no one's asking questions. And I love this project. So, oops. Under garden guidance, we do have that pollinator friendly thing. Under garden guidance, we have food gardening and growing vegetables. We have this selected list of vegetable varieties for gardeners in New York State. And so again, this is for 2017. We create this every year. And so there's some varieties. Fiona got some of those varieties off this list, but some of them aren't on this list. So the other thing that you'll be helping us do is, if you put the data into the vegetable varieties for gardeners website, that helps inform this document. If the stuff's good, right? We only put the recommended stuff in here. But you can see I've got a mouse out of control. So some of the varieties on this list that have this asterisk on them, they came from recommendations from New Yorkers from the vegetable variety list. So that's ultimately where we're going. We want to repeat this many years, and we want New York State gardeners and our associations who are doing vegetable trial gardens to be informing this document. That's the overarching long-term goal is that gardeners are the ones who help us come up with this list. Question comes in, do you have suggestions on how to break up the maintenance work among volunteers? Oh wait, I got an answer from Lori in Wayne County. In Wayne County, we assigned each interested volunteer a bed and added signage. This bed is maintained by Master Gardener volunteer and their name. There's some accountability. And maybe it's a couple names. And so the bed is only 3 by 3. And so that was a there we go. Who did this beautiful bed? And anybody else have any suggestions? I like that one.
I think every county is so different in their volunteer force and the time that their educators have to maintain this. So it might be a little bit different for everybody. But if you have done this project in the past and you've found that your way of maintenance worked really well, please share.
Another strategy that I've heard is, so there's always a time in the garden and each week when there's an educational opportunity, but while you're doing the education, you might do a little maintenance at that same time. So other resources on this page,
I didn't dive into those.
Okay, what we also wanted to share with you is some tools to help you report your annual reporting, as we always do, and to also measure your success. So we have an evaluation, some sample evaluation forms, and they open up in Word. So I think I'm going to they'll download if I click on them. And then, so these are just some sample questions. I guess I'll open it up. It's going to be, okay, it will open up in Word, and I think I have to scoot over to Word. Are you sharing the screen? Or?
Desktop, so they should be able to see it.
Okay, good. So it's opening up. Hopefully y'all can start to see the Word document opening up. So you can see she has a simple evaluation form that you might have whenever you have an event or some other that maintenance learning time. You can use this form. And then we have another form. The other evaluation form is more open-ended questions. The other thing I want to share is some about your local plan of work. So some of you educators might think that this looks familiar because you've had to fill out a local plan of work. So you might choose your food gardening and this vegetable variety trial garden to meet one of these outcomes, which is part of our whole plan of work. And so she really just put this document here with the thought that you would delete the things that weren't relevant to what your focus was, and then you would keep the others. And so that was a little background. And so she's kind of filled this in for you, so it would be easy for you to do your program planning paperwork that we all have to do. You can sort of choose, she made them different colors, so you can sort of choose your theme and then work through the whole thing that way, with the hope that this really leads into writing a very easy success story once you've collected some information too. So she added that tool right to that website. So if you go to the staff webpage under units, organizational development, program planning and development, I just wanted to point out some changes in the statewide plan of work that impacts our Master Gardener Volunteer Program. So that local plan of work template, here it is right here. That's the one she filled in, but you can get it on that staff website. There's the statewide plan of work from which Fiona drew those outcomes from. And I just want to point out how it has changed in the realm of the Master Gardener Volunteer Program. And there are 6 parts to the plan of work. And sorry, I'm going to scroll rather fast all the way to the last number 6 one, because that is community economic vitality. Examples of statewide regional initiatives that fall within this plan of work include the Master Gardener Volunteer Program, Land use and public spaces. We might be doing some work related to land use and public spaces with our Master Gardener Volunteer Program. And this is a brand new point in the plan of work. It was worded differently previously. It was not called land use and residential spaces before. And you can see here the number of residents practicing management tactics in homes, lawns, and gardens and landscapes that support environmental stewardship and a sustainable community. So I think the bulk of our support of our community falls in this area for Master Gardener Volunteer Program. And there are some footnotes here because you might be doing something a little more specific and that you might want to affiliate with a different outcome in the plan of work. And so I wrote those out here. If you're doing something focused on climate change adaptation and mitigation, water resources, biodiversity, natural resource protection, you go back up this whole document, scroll back up to the second portion of the plan of work under climate change. There's check out 2.1, 2.4, and 2.7 there. That's really that includes I think that one includes biodiversity. And then in 3.7 in the natural resource, the environment and natural resource one also covers those sorts of things, if that's a thrust of your program in the year ahead or in the future. If by chance you're focusing on compost waste management, if you look at the third part of the plan, the environment and natural resources and sustainable energy, 3.6 and 3.7 deal with composting and waste management. And then if you're focusing on school, community, home, and food gardening, you would refer to the plan of work on nutrition, food safety and security, and obesity and prevention. 4.4 talks about food security one. There's some background, and Fiona pulled some of that background into that plan of work. They already spell it out for you here, so this is really. It also includes activities that include the Master Gardener Volunteer Program, Seed to Supper Program, Youth Grow is also affiliated with us. So that might be one of the things that the thrust of your program is to see changes in the number of people growing their own food.
Well, thanks everybody, and feel free to reach out with questions. We're happy to continue this conversation.
This has been a production of Cornell University, on the web at cornell.edu.